Get ready, race fans, because the tension is at an all-time high. In today's video, we're diving into the fiery feud between Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso, as the two battle out to be the first to get the upper hand on the dominant Red Bulls. So buckle up and get ready for a heart-pumping ride as we unpack this intense rivalry in the making and find out what's really going on behind the scenes. This is a video you can't afford to miss, so let's dive right in. Lance Stroll has been commanded to send a strong warning shot to Fernando Alonso as they compete for supremacy at Aston Martin. For the previous 2 years, Stroll had fought for the number one spot with four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel, who retired and was replaced by Alonso. Aston Martin's car has improved significantly over the off-season, and Alonso finished third in the first three races this season. Meanwhile, Stroll has been recovering from a pre-season cycling accident that hampered his preparations for the season-opening race in Bahrain, where he finished sixth. Stroll's chances in Saudi Arabia were dashed by an engine problem, but he finished fourth behind Alonso in the Australian Grand Prix early this month. In each of the three races, the 24-year-old has qualified slower than Alonso and risked playing second fiddle to his more experienced teammate. Damon Hill, a former world champion turned F1 pundit, believes Stroll needs to make it clear that he wants to be Aston Martin's number one driver this season, effectively ending Alonso's career. He'll explain to the F1 Nation podcast, his form has to be maintained, sustained over time. It's no good, just a blip, a one-off event. So he'd have to make it his ambition this year. He'd have to set his goal as ending Fernando Alonso's career. Now, that sounds brutal, but that's what George Russell is trying to do against Lewis Hamilton. That's what Nico Hülkenberg is trying to do with Kevin Magnussen. You have to establish yourself as the undisputed king, number one in that team. However, after an impressive start to the season, Alonso has stated that he has no plans to retire and has issued a warning to the podium rivals Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. Instead of contemplating retirement, Alonso told the media that a third world title is within reach, and that's not difficult to see why. Alonso's standards set a high bar for Aston Martin to reach when he decided to join the ambitious Formula One team. Surprisingly, one of his loftiest goals appears to be within reach. Aston Martin is ahead of schedule by about a year, at the very least. When Alonso's bombshell Alpine departure was announced last August, he emphasised the potential he saw in Aston Martin by declaring that he intends to be victorious in F1 again and that no one is demonstrating a greater vision and absolute commitment to winning than this team. 3 consecutive third-place finishes in 3 races to begin 2023 have prompted Alonso to believe that, with a little help from Red Bull, race victories this year are possible. Not bad for a team that was running last in the championship at this point in the season last year. When Alonso's impending switch from Alpine to Aston Martin was announced, it was widely assumed that Alonso was making a final bet for glory with one of the best midfield options, if not the best, for a handsome pay packet. However, Alonso saw it as a project that could be completed before the end of this already lengthy career, and the Spaniard appears to have no end in sight, as he stated, "That's why I keep racing, obviously. You know the challenge is big. You know that you need to obviously overcome some difficulties and some top teams that are now top of the sport. But yeah, I race every day, and I train every day, thinking that the third title is possible. I'm still fresh, I'm still motivated, I still enjoy every single day. I woke up in the morning and I'm happy of what I'm doing. So yeah, there is a few more years I think for me, and hopefully with a title contender in the future." However, there are some realities that must be considered before Alonso gets too far ahead of himself. The Aston Martin driver is third in the driver's standings, but that appears to be his current limit, with the Red Bull duo winning all 3 races this season. While upgrades are coming to the AMR 23, they are also coming to the RB19, implying that Red Bull's lead over the rest of the field could grow even more. There is also the theory, led by Mercedes driver George Russell, that Red Bull has been holding back because they are afraid of an FIA-imposed rule change that would limit their dominance. Alonso's goal for this year is simple: complete the so-called Mission 33 and win his first race since 2013, but he admits some luck will be required. "Of course, I hope I can take the 33rd GP win that has been talked about so much," he told DAZN. "But we have to be realistic. We know that Red Bull Racing are too far away at the moment, but anything can happen. Like a problem with the stance or a crash between the two drivers, there has been a lot of talk about getting things heated between them. We will look out for that." Fernando Alonso is correct in his assessment that, based on current standings, it will take a Red Bull-shaped disaster for anyone else to stand on the top step of the podium, but the Spaniard has already proven that if that happens, he will be there to capitalise. While Aston Martin's rise from P7 to the podium is impressive due to the speed with which they transformed, their consistency so far in 2023 is equally laudable. Alonso has finished third in every race this season, and unlike his time at Alpine, the Aston Martin team has only had one reliability issue. And who aside from the Red Bull team can comfortably say that they are consistently quicker than the Silverstone team? Ferrari have yet to show any kind of pace and have plenty of reliability issues to worry about. And while Mercedes were strong in Melbourne, Alonso was able to glide past Lewis Hamilton in Bahrain. The fact of the matter is that Mission 33 is the most attainable it's ever been since Alonso's departure from Ferrari, and if he continued to be consistently excellent, maybe, just maybe, luck will be on his side. So while Alonso could win a race this season, what about the loftier and frankly much more optimistic goal of fighting for a third title? In that regard, the Spaniard remains realistic about his prospects, admitting that there are still too many obstacles for Aston Martin to overcome this season. Instead, the goal for this season is to lay the groundwork for a more sustained 2024 challenge. I think at the moment we have to keep our feet on the ground, he added. The aim for the team is just to have a good season. They struggled a lot in 2022, so I think we have to say, let's say, walk before run. And I think after this 2023 campaign, it's just about getting better, get to know the car better, start a new project from day one, and that's where we're at the moment. Hopefully we'll have more podiums and hopefully we fight for race wins. But I think to fight for the championship, I think we need to, as I said, set the team a little bit before doing that. With his former partner Andreas Schleger recently revealing he will most likely retire after 2024, Alonso may only have a few years left in Formula One. That doesn't leave him much time to win a third title. After all, it appears that Red Bull has already secured both championships for 2023, such is their on-track advantage over their competitors. Leading that pack of rivals is Alonso's Aston Martin's team, the Spaniard third in the driver's standings as Aston Martin P2 in the constructors. But as Alonso himself says, this year is about laying the groundwork for a more sustained challenge in 2024. He's not even sure he'll win a race this year. Unfortunately, for the Spaniard, 2024 may also be a season or three too early for Aston Martin to challenge Red Bull for the title. Although Aston Martin is the most improved team this season, up by 2 seconds per lap over last year, according to Mercedes boss Toto Wolff, closing those final meters, or in this case milliseconds, is more difficult because there is less room for improvement. In addition, Red Bull will be making small gains of their own. While no one in the paddock would begrudge Alonso a third title, he is, after all, living the fairy tale this season. Time and Red Bull are not on his side. But despite the fact that the odds are stacked against them, the level of ambition within the Aston Martin team is palpable, and it's all thanks to their owner and Lance Stroll's father, Lawrence Stroll. When Stroll led a consortium that purchased shares in Aston Martin's Lagonda, resulting in the rebranding of his Racing Point Formula One team, it marked the return to the grid of an iconic brand with lofty ambitions. While peak Racing Point came in 2020 with the team winning the Sakhir Grand Prix that year thanks to Sergio Perez, Stroll saw Aston Martin as a team that would become a dominant force in Formula One, winning enough races to win the championship. And while F1 2023 was a big step towards that goal, it was not enough for Stroll. When asked how discussions with Stroll went and what his reaction to the success was, Aston Martin's team boss Mike Krack said, "Well, it's quite easy. Lawrence's mission statement is very clear. He has not been having any delay in telling us, when are we going to win the next one?" So far, everything appears to be in order. Aston Martin is out for blood, and it will be up to Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll to deliver and claim the coveted top podium spot this year, regardless of teammate rivalries. But what are your thoughts? Can they pull it off? Or will the team be dragged back into the midfield as soon as the other players figure out the regulations? Please share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe. Oh, and while you're at it, click the bell to be notified of future uploads.